Hold on. It is. I'm sorry. Welcome back to a whiskey party today. My mic was muted.
Man, I was like, wait a minute, we can't be having problems again. We just fixed
No. This is part 2 of a whiskey kind of day, the official happy hour, as everybody should be off work. It is 5 p.m. In the Pacific, 7 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, where my man Gabe is at. And the big first question we have here is, what are you drinking, and why is there a Texas flag on a bottle of Crown?
Yeah.
Are you that in love with Texas that much?
No, man. Listen,
rumor has it you're from Oklahoma, but I'm just saying.
No, man. I personally don't know why there is a Texas flag on a bottle of.
Gang members do that with their bandanas. You know that, right?
I mean, they're good people too.
I'm just saying.
Hey, man, but gang members are good people. They're some fine fellows. You just got to get to know them. But listen, man, no, I am drinking Texas Crown Club. This was a Christmas.
Is that a thing? Texas Crown Club? Is that really a thing?
That's what this bottle says. I am not familiar with this. This is literally the first time I am tasting this. It was a Christmas gift, and so far.
So is it the Crown Royal brand, or is it just something called Texas Crown?
I don't know. I literally just took it out of the packaging.
Oh.
I haven't even read it. I just okay, so we're going to have some of this tonight, and it is much needed, man. I want to toast to a really long week and a cold one. Man, but listen, what are you drinking?
I am, as always, a tequila man. My family comes from Central America, and so we are of the agave plant people, and we love tequila. And so, or I should say, I love tequila. I do say that. So,
last time I checked, man,
the family that I wish to create is in Japan. So I also love Sapporo. So I'm on both sides of the world. You know what I'm saying? So there you go.
Family that you wish to create. I caught that.
Yes.
I caught that one, man. Yes. No, man. Well, listen, we got a great show tonight. Absolutely, like you said, man. This is number 2 for us. We had an amazing show with Carl Brown, co-founding partner of FUBU.
Yes.
Amazing conversation with him. Amazing jewels he was dropping as far as being an entrepreneur, businessman, starting where they started, where they're going, and all that good jazz. And now we're going to switch gears. And we're going to talk about the nonprofit space of business. It is a real thing, and we got an amazing guest that's going to come on and tell her amazing story as well, man. And I'm excited to hear from her and all the things that she has to share with us as well.
If I can just, before we bring her in, I just have one other question. How cold is it in the DF Dub? Can you help me out with that? Because I've been hearing. Earlier this week on World Star, there was a video of a 20-car pileup with semis and trucks and cars. And I saw the video. It looked like people were dying, losing their lives, in which I couldn't believe that they didn't see this coming. But it's freezing cold out there. So
can you see that?
26 degrees in Dallas. Wow.
Yeah, man, it is crazy. And it was when the wreckage ended, it was 136 vehicles in that accident, and 6 people lost their lives. So again, prayers go out to all the family and loved ones that lost someone.
6 people lost their lives.
Six people lost their lives. I was reading a story early this morning about a lady who was saying she just knew something was wrong because her husband's phone tracker did not move from the map for several hours, and she had not heard from him. So she said she just had to be strong for her and her kids. He was the strong one, and this was a very devastating moment for her and her kids. And my heart goes out to her and everybody like her. I mean, just to think, you made it through 2020.
Only to die in a car accident on a cold Dallas Fort Worth morning day. That's sad.
It's hurtful. It's hurtful. But again, prayers go out to anybody that's just dealing with life right now, man. It is not the same, and we're still dealing with this pandemic, COVID-19, and everything about it. And we're just going on it day by day and doing what we got to do, specifically with this this show and topic, we're talking about the businesses. Shout out to all the businesses that are still fighting through this thing, man. Because again, man, I am not whole. And you know, every day we're pushing through this and taking it on the chin, but we're going to keep on pushing through, man, because there's going to be a breakthrough. We're going to get back to some sense of normalcy, even though it may be different. And we're going to figure this thing out together one way or another.
You know, like a porn star, you're taking it on the chin. We'd like to bring in Takiyah Wallace, if we could bring her in here, who is I have been waiting to talk to you all. What's wrong? Everybody okay?
The banter back and forth.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay. That's okay. It's okay.
Why?
What happened?
I'm confused. Oh, my God.
So, just trying to have a conversation about business. I don't know what's so funny, but okay. If we can get back to the show, please.
It's okay.
Takiyah, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about from your business. And I was just reading up about you. Self-taught photographer, which is not an easy thing to do, to have an eyeball to shoot, frame, and actually be able to market yourself, and people love your work. It's not easy. Everybody has a camera and can take pictures, but not everybody is good at it. There's an art form to being a photographer. So that's amazing. And not only is that, you've also had your work featured in the Huffington Post, Washington Post, Dance Magazine, the Kelly Clarkson Show. Now, to be self-taught and then to be included into these big major brands is absolutely amazing. What is it like? Or what was it feeling like? Well, I'm just saying, I mean, look, you take your first picture and it's probably blurry and it's of the sidewalk.
The worst. I mean, and even then, you know, you can be for myself now, I'm like 11 years in on the photography end of things, and it depends on the day. Some days I'm like, I love what I shot, and then there are other days where I'm like, oh, what was this? What was going on that day? And I can't blame the camera. It's me behind it. So it just depends. But it feels amazing to have so many other people appreciate what you put out into the world. So that is what keeps you going and motivated.
Well, at what point did you know you were good at it? Like how long before you were like, I'm taking pictures of me to like I'm taking these award-winning pictures?
I can answer that. She knew she was good when she took my headshots in LA. And I was like, wow, these are amazing.
In LA.
Yeah, all the greenery in the back. Oh, it was amazing.
No. I think that's an evolving thing. I think you have some days where you're like, okay, that was good. And then some days where you decide maybe I won't be shooting again anytime soon. So I think it evolves, and I think as you move on in the process, I know for me, I found out what I was really good at, and then just kind of honed in on that. There's so many other different types of photography out there, but I learned that children and family were really my jam and something that I could excel in very quickly. So,
wow.
So when you're setting up these shots, like, is there something that you're looking for that kind of inspire you in the framing, or like, what are you focusing on? I mean, to really get those images out that you think are going to be what you want to capture?
So I think most of the time I'm always thinking of, in the back of my mind, what would I want to see with my own family? So if it is a portrait session with a child, what kind of images as a mom do I appreciate of my children? And then if it's of a family, what kind of images would I put up on a wall of my family? Like things with fathers interacting with kids. That's a big deal to me because I'm heavy on the dad love. And so I'm always trying to make sure that they're being active and they're not just being posed for those particular images. So things like that are important to me, and especially when we start talking about representation. Most of my clients are Black families. I want to make sure that I'm always putting things out there that are going to put them in the best light, because Black families are magic. But when you go into Ross or Marshalls and you grab your frames, those aren't the families that you see in those frames. So I'm always in the back of my head thinking about what I want those frames to look like.
Or it's a Black woman with a mixed child and a white man. But I'm just saying.
That's a conversation for another day.
I'm not listening. I'm not trying to get in the pulpit, but I'm just saying. The Black man.
Listen, I want to point out again another successful business owner talking about how they're putting themselves into the business and the product, and it's translating to
You
other.
You have to, because you have to think about, okay, you as a consumer, when you spend your money, how do you want to spend your money, and who do you want to spend your money with? You want to spend your money with people you identify with, right? And so as the person that you're giving your money to, I want to make sure that I can see myself in you and you can see yourself in me, especially when we're talking about photos, because they live forever.
Wow, you're right. You're absolutely right. Photos and I can only imagine if the stuff I did in the 80s and 90s was captured on film, I would not be working at all. So I'm glad about that time. I appreciate you though for trying to capture us in a positive light.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's always kind of been my guiding kind of compass in photography and beyond. And that's really kind of what set me up to be where I am now, even in the nonprofit space.
You got a bachelor's degree from the University of North Texas. Where's that at? That's
in Denton, Texas, which is about 20 minutes from that car accident you were talking about earlier today.
Well, listen, I used to live by both of you in Wichita Falls, Texas, which is a couple hours north. I know, but listen, we've got Indian casinos, so it made up for the small town.
Small Texas credit. That's what he's holding on.
Wow. We have an Air Force base. Okay, and Midwestern State University. Can you say that about where you live?
Midwestern State University. Okay.
Midwestern. Okay.
All right.
I got a community college 30 miles away.
Say that fast.
Okay.
Huh?
Say that.
It's all Texas love. It's all Texas love.
There definitely is a vibe in North. I'm sorry, you're in North Texas. I'm Northern Texas.
Does it snow in Wichita Falls? I don't know. I've only ever been through there.
True story. The first time I ever saw snow, because I'm from Los Angeles, and I went and did the radio rounds in Oklahoma. I was in Tulsa. I was in Lawton. Then I moved to Wichita Falls. First time I saw snow was in Wichita Falls, Texas. First time I experienced black ice was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay.
First time I saw a pool freeze, which I didn't know pools freezed. I didn't know that was a thing, was in Tulsa. I was like, oh, this is cold. I mean,
and you're like, cold. I'm going to go back to LA now and start over.
Yeah. You know what? As bad as we have homeless everywhere and there's trash on the streets, not leaving. No.
Okay. I get it.
All
my siblings live in LA, so I get it.
I can always move into a tent on the side of the street, and I'm cool with that.
Apparently they're making whole living rooms outside of these tents. So,
listen, there was a lady on Skid Row in downtown LA, hardwood floors, solar panels. She had a whole nother tent that was her closet, a whole nother tent that was her bathroom. They got it made. Listen, we're trying to make something of ourselves.
You shouldn't have to scale down what you like. You know what I mean?
We're trying to make something out of ourselves. They got to figure it out.
Okay.
No bills, no nothing. They get a check from the government. She had a queen size bed. I don't have a queen size bed. But we're getting off subject. I do want to say that you have a nonprofit, and so I want to talk about the nonprofit space. Why did you create a nonprofit?
So that's a story in itself. Once again, putting myself in other people's shoes. In 2012, I always say I was a mom when I do these interviews, but I am a mom still. But at the time, my daughter was 3, and she told me she wanted to take ballet. I'm not that girl. I never twirled. I never asked my parents to twirl. Had only been to the ballet one time, but I did know how to Google, because Google is our friend. And I started as a photographer that year after seeing that there are very few images of little girls of color on local dance websites shooting dancers of color. So I put out an all call for Dallas, Houston, and Austin, Texas, and went to sleep, woke up, it went viral. And I kept having people from, DC, New York, and LA asking me when I was going to come and shoot the project there. And I told them never, because it was just supposed to be a little short-term thing. But as I started shooting the project and the photos were posted to social media, they continued to go viral. And we went from an Instagram of like 13 followers to now we have 138,000 followers and fans across the world.
Oh my God.
In listening to the stories as I went out to shoot the dancers, I would listen to their moms and dads, and they would tell me these stories about their daughter being the only Black girl in class, the only Hispanic girl in class. And I knew something had to be done, but I didn't think it was for me to do it, because ballet is very old, and there are the traditionalist and elitist people who run the show. and it wasn't for me, who had to Google how you take ballet, basically. But I knew what I could do with my friends. And so some friends and I got together and we started basically pooling our financial resources and identifying girls that should be able to go to the ballet for the first time, to have the experience, to take ballet classes for the first time. If they needed supplies, we would come together and make that happen. And then eventually that pot just grew and grew. I went on and filed for our nonprofit status, and now we are a full-fledged nonprofit that provides financial resources, mentorship, all kinds of things to little girls of color who want to pursue dance.
Now, I didn't think black girls in ballet was a thing. What is that? We traditionally stay with things with rhythm.
Yes.
Some people will try to include me and say I'm not black and out of the black conversation, but this is not about me. Why ballet?
Well,
why? What was it that attracted a little black girl to ballet?
I think girls look at television and they see the tutus and the shoes, and the girls are dancing on their toes, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, and for the sake of this conversation, I'll say sport. It's a beautiful sport to watch. It's a lovely art form. And if you are the girl who dreams of dancing and movement, that would be something that you would pursue. Now, oftentimes, as our girls get older and their bodies start filling out, because that's the thing, they do tend to move towards like jazz and hip hop, contemporary, those other forms of dance. But
is it a skinny girl thing? Is ballet a skinny girl thing, or can we have
It's a waist thin, blonde haired, blue eyed thing.
But maybe we need to change that though. Like, we're not.
That's what we're doing. So if anything I know how to do, I know how to rally the troops and gather resources and beg my friends for things. And so I've successfully done that at this point for 8 years. And so now our mentorship actually helps train that next generation of dancers. There were girls already out in the world kind of operating in their own spaces, hoping to one day go professional and be a professional ballet dancer. And this is before they had somebody like Misty Copeland to look up to. But now they're able to kind of bridge together and work the system on up together because we paired them together.
So how is your nonprofit doing? Is it
it's doing really well. I will say last year, if we would have been having this conversation, it would have been a completely different response. But last year we were the recipients of a lot of generosity. And
African American is the fragrance that's in the air right now.
It's a nice scent, right? And so we were the beneficiaries of a lot of generosity and, just being honest, a lot of guilt. And at first, I was reluctant to
take the money and run.
But I decided it was better for me to take those funds and give them to the girls who needed them, rather than say, "Hey, I don't want your guilt dollars."
What are you going to say, Gabe?
I said, take the money and dance. There you go.
Take the money and dance.
You know what? So these things go in cycles.
Yes.
People dump money in African American projects when they feel, for lack of a better term, guilty to a certain extent. And and I've seen it. Maybe this is the second or third cycle I've seen this going on. And it's very sad we can't stay consistent and just be like, "Yo, I'm going to do this." But America has a very short attention span, and so you really can't feel guilty when somebody's trying to dump some money on you for whatever reason it is. You just have to take that opportunity that presents itself. And you know what? How can I take this blessing and bless other people with it, and then grow, with it?
And grow. Yeah. That's the key word. So you have that when you've operated on a certain budget for 7 years, right? You know how much scholarship money you can give out, how many supplies you can disperse this month. You have that set in your brain because you've done it that way for several years. When you are the recipient of a windfall, that's what I'm going to call it, all of a sudden you have all of these resources at your fingertips that you didn't have before, and it can be a little bit jarring. So we went through that for about 3 or 4 months, and then finally I said, let me do with these funds what I said I was going to do, but then also reach back and invest so that in the event that this feeling, this guilt does not last, that we are able to sustain forever, if possible.
Are you starting your own ballet company, or are you just kind of
we're not starting our own ballet company. Everyone thinks that should be the next wave. I have something else that in mind instead of that. But what has allowed us to kind of move so freely in the ballet world and to gain fans of all walks of life is that we're able to partner with these larger ballet companies to provide free classes for our girls and other girls. And so it allows us to not be committed to a brick and mortar. It allows us to not be committed to any particular ballet company, but we are still providing those much needed services. And because we'd already been operating in a virtual space, our girls are literally out in the world at this point. The pandemic didn't really affect us. As a matter of fact, it helped us because then we were able to lend our expertise in the virtual world to other people.
We got a couple of questions real quick before we get to how do you feel? Bernard Anthony says, how do you feel thinking that it wasn't your calling and now turned out to be successful? You're a blessing in disguise.
Thank you, Bernard. That part is still overwhelming. I took a meeting earlier today with a rather large company, and they were basically, they ask you all of these questions because they want to write you a check, but they want to make sure they're writing the right person to check, right? And they were asking me all of these questions, and they kind of said the same thing to me. And I said, I don't believe anything truly happens by accident. And I always joke and say I'm an accidental activist. But if I think back in my life, every single thing that I've done has led me to this. Did I think it would be ballet? No. Did I always know it would be children? Absolutely. Did I know that photography would somehow be meshed in with that? Yes. So I feel like although ballet was not my focus, I always knew that eventually I would end up in this space impacting young people.
What are you gonna say, Gabe? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say just one of the most amazing things that I heard about what you was doing is you put together a directory of information for young families who had girls that want to go into ballet, where they can find ballet shoes. I don't know what they're called,
Yes.
classes, people in their area, and just a whole almost tutorial, if you will, to get started. And it was based on the fact that these are the things that you wish you could have had bring your own daughter up into.
Yeah,
Is this the thing with black girls wanting to get in ballet? Do they really want to get into ballet?
They really do. I'm going to tell you, our mentorship program, this last application cycle, they can only apply once a year. So it's not a rolling. Okay. It's one, and it has become an intense process over the years because the applicants kept growing. I think the first year we started with 12 girls. This past cycle, I think we had like close to 120 applicants, and we only chose 26. So. Wow. So that's how many girls want to be attached to this. Wow. And some of them don't necessarily want to be a prima ballerina. Some of them want to work in dance administration. And if you have that dance experience, mentorship and connectivity and contacts, it makes it a lot easier as you go on to move into those spaces.
Wow. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you said, are you giving scholarships, opportunities? So what does that actually look like for someone coming in? Is there expectations? Is it a, interviewing process, or
yes.
Do they have dance recitals that they have to submit? Like, what does that look like?
No, you know what? As it's gone on, it's gotten a lot more technical, only because we couldn't take everyone who applied, right? There's no possible way at this point I could service like 160 girls at one time. But what I can do is put together a list of criteria that I feel like other entities, larger entities, would be looking for in general. Do you have a dance history? Do you have a supportive family base? Because these are the people who are going to be getting you to and from class. Do you have good grades? Because what you do academically, to me, is important. As a former school teacher, I taught elementary school for 18 years. So I need you to have good grades. I need to give you a code of conduct. They have a code of conduct, an agreement, a contract that they sign that basically says, I will do all the things that got me to this point and beyond. And in turn, we give them leadership skills, we give them funding, and we give them a network to work within and a mentorship, a mentor.
Wow.
Do we have something for the boys? Because the boys, listen.
Everybody asked me that. So
listen. I gotta stand up. I gotta stand up for my gender.
Okay, so I have a son now.
Black men, we get left out. It's all about black girls.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to send this to the two individuals I'm directing this to right now. There are two very strong young Black men who have contacted me to mirror our program exactly. I just need one of them to do it. The only reason we cannot is because I've kind of committed to the name Brown Girls Do Ballet. So I can't.
I got you. You know what?
I'm all in. So, you know.
You know what?
We have provided scholarships for boys in the past. We just don't announce it.
Gotcha. I got you. Listen, and this is something just as a man.
Because you're a man. I get it. Yeah.
No. As a man and as a father, and then also
as a former dancer.
As a former ballet dancer. I was in Black Swan. Okay. They were talking about me, but that's not the story. But one of the things that I do not like seeing, and I see it a lot, is that there is so much attention and resource to Black girls.
Yes.
That the Black boys kind of get left out. And listen, there is such a willingness to try to uplift our young girls, our young women, and I'm all about that. But I'm about inclusion, is that we have to uplift everybody.
I agree. And I will tell you,
we can highlight, you know what I'm saying, but we cannot forget.
You're right.
And I feel that we forget our young boys and men at the same time in things that we're doing when it comes to uplifting the African American community. I
absolutely agree. And I will tell you, I feel like it happened before I had a son, but it really hit home to me when I had a Black son. And I taught for 2 years at an all-boys school. So I really saw how Black and brown boys were treated in the school system and how that could trickle outside of the school doors and affect them later on. So I absolutely agree with you. I just felt like, you know, I stepped into ballet accidentally. I don't know if I can speak for the males. Like,
I absolutely listen. I'm not even hating on it. I love it and I respect it and I want to help it and I want to appreciate it. I always like to put it out there because it's something that I do see and I don't necessarily know if a lot of people speak up on it. I've seen so many people try to start businesses with young women, young girls, but the boys are just left behind and we cannot. If we're going to fix the African American community, we have to fix all of it, not just one segment of it.
You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct.
And I'm gonna take that and kind of lead into a question. And it kind of pushes on the factor of putting together a nonprofit. Questions to Takiyah. Putting together a nonprofit. I know one of the things you have to have is a really, really strong mission statement and purpose on what it is that your nonprofit is going to do. What kind of advice would you give someone that's actually kind of trying to get into that space and actually create a nonprofit business to cater to, maybe as Don is saying, to young boys? What kind of things would you tell them they need to make sure that their statement, their business, their concept needs to hold?
So I think, you know, when you begin any other business, you can be a little bit loose with what you're going to do. You're going to have your big ideas. These are the things that we're going to do and we're going to sell and we're going to produce, right? And then as time goes on, you can flesh out those other ideas. It works a lot like that with a nonprofit, except whatever you do, you have to show and prove before, basically. So whatever you put on that mission statement, when it's time for you to file that paperwork, you better make sure that your website and all of that language is the same, or else it flags you. And then you want to make sure that when people are donating, that they can see what they're buying into by your mission statement and your vision and moving forward. The nonprofit space is not easy. I think oftentimes it probably would have been easier for me to move this forward as a for-profit entity, right? But I chose a nonprofit where I'm committed to it, but I learned very quickly that people of color, and I'm gonna say it, we don't often just write checks like other people write checks. There's a getting familiar process. First, we have to have been around for a while because I need to make sure you actually gonna do with this money you said you were going to. Then, what does a donation look like for me and my family? I can give my tithes to the church, and I know that set amount every week. But this nonprofit over here that gets girls in ballet programs, I can give them like $5 or $10 maybe. You know, recurring donations, all of these things these other nonprofits have was not something that we typically had or operated in up until last year, to be honest. But I learned very quickly that even though people of color wouldn't necessarily write a check to an organization we're familiar with, they would buy a t-shirt, they would buy some stickers, they would buy a patch.
Okay.
So when you buy those things, that's your donation. And that's how we started building that pot before we started getting grant money and donations and that sort of thing.
You mentioned something very interesting about having your story
Yes.
all written out so that when you file your taxes or somebody comes to you
Yes.
and says we want to donate to you, there is no guesswork. It's like,
no guesswork.
Here's what we've done. Here's who we've helped. Here's the story. Here's the picture. Here's the video.
Yes.
Here are the receipts for the government.
They want that.
Returns.
The government wants receipts. When you get ready to start thinking about like actual branding and trademarking and all of that, they want receipts. They call them specimens. They want specimens. The people who are, I had a call today with a potential grantor, and they were basically asking me for a document that if I would complete a document over the next few months that tells them every place I've spent those funds that they're giving us. These people want to know that you are trustworthy. And, you know, if you're new starting out, you don't have that longevity and that legacy for people to be able to refer back to. It's you selling your story, your personality, and honestly, images. Oh my goodness. I see so many people miss out on funds because they don't have the proof and images to back things up. And I don't mean the pictures like, look, y'all, I fed the homeless, because we see that a lot, right? Is people love to show the pictures when they went out and did the thing. But sending a donor saying, hey, because of you, we were able to purchase 60 pairs of shoes this week, which is something we did yesterday. All of those sorts of things. People want to see how you spent their funds.
Okay, so let's say Don Amiche wants to start ballet for Black boys.
Wow.
Who considered ballet when the rainbow wasn't enough. That's the name of my nonprofit. Okay.
Well, first of all, your name's too long. Okay.
Okay. Black Boys Ballet. How about that? Black Boys Ballet. Black Boys do ballet. I stole that from somebody. That's the name of my nonprofit. Okay. What are the first thing? I'm creating the nonprofit is to get Black boys into ballet. I feel that there's a need. I see an underserved community here. I want to be able to. This is my life's mission. What are the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things I need to do?
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you these things based on what I did wrong, because we all do things wrong starting off, right? So based on what I did wrong, the first thing I would do is go on and incorporate, right? Because that is going to help you move to actually filling out your nonprofit paperwork. Number 2, I would not procrastinate on filling out my 501c3 paperwork like I did. I procrastinated. We've been in cycle for 3 years before I actually took the application and did it. I would seek out a mentor to help me fill out my paperwork. I guess in that instance, I've probably moved into the mentor role. I would start thinking about employing off top an accountant, because things can get real hairy and you don't want to make
that's not the first time an accountant has come up in this podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
How important is the accountant when it comes to and I don't know how much money you're spending on the accountant, but let's just say it's $500 a month. How important is that $500 a month on the account?
It's very that $500 a month is worth it. I would also tell you
I'm spending $40 on QuickBooks Online. I need to stop that.
And if you have a degree in accounting, or you've had enough finance courses and you feel like you are comfortable with QuickBooks, you do that, okay? For your small business, when you start moving into more money, you need to make sure you have an accountant just so there's no glitches, right? That's one of those things that a nonprofit can put down a line item for in the budget, and we'll say every year, this is what we know we have for our accountant. We also do the same thing for legal. I have 2 attorneys, not 1, but 2, because one thing I don't play about is my marks. My logo is our bread and butter right now. Hold on, let me see. My logo is our bread and butter right now. Well, donations are not coming in, and so I locked everything down very quickly.
Listen, you will get sued up messing with Takiyah. That's
You will. You will. And I don't even like suing. I hate the whole culture of that whole situation. But I worked really hard, and if people knew, because we always talk about bootstrapping small businesses. I bootstrapped a nonprofit for 3 years, so I can't let you come in and just use my stuff all willy nilly.
Nah, that's great there. So let me.
This black girl that's copyrighted. This black girl right here that we looking on the screen.
Hey, that baby, her name is Bella, and she is officially a registered trademark as of February 9, 2021. So she is a week old.
Oh, God. Come on now. Hey, cheers to that. Cheers to that right there.
She looks like a.
Are you drinking? What are you drinking over there?
Well, I finished my tea. I'm on my water now. So.
Well, cheers to you on that, then.
Is it water or vodka? Which one is it?
It's actually water. It's actually water.
Okay. Look like vodka to me.
I'd be asleep on vodka. So.
Let me ask you,
I love the website. I just want to say that.
Is in a nonprofit space, a lot of people don't know that you can seek out another nonprofit to help kind of mentor your nonprofit to get you that credibility that you was talking about until you can get. Do you know much about that process, and can you kind of put such light on that?
We never had to do that, but I will tell you right now, there are 2 nonprofits that fall under us. We have some girls. That's the thing about our dancers. They're not just dancers. We have girls. I call them change makers. They're my brown ballerina army. They have decided very early on. I'm going to give you an example of one. Her name is Quincy. She's 16 years old. He came to me and basically said, Miss Takiyah, I want to start my own nonprofit, but I don't know where to start. So we started from step 1, but until she got everything solidified and she's already in action. She's doing what she said she would do as a part of her mission. She started operating under our 501c3 so that we could disperse the funds that she needed to be able to get the things done that she wanted to do. Eventually, she's going to move after all of her paperwork is filed and submitted, which I think she just did that. But when she gets her stamp of approval, she'll move from under us, but then she'll become our partner organization for us. So there are people that are willing to let you do that, but you have to be a trustworthy individual because nobody wants to lose that status.
Right. Yeah, the nonprofit status is something that's very hard to get. The IRS does not play around with it.
They do not.
And you have to have documentation. You have to have a mission statement. You have to have some type of clear direction and who you are helping with the nonprofit in order to be granted that tax exempt status, because the IRS wants their money.
They want their money, and they're going to get their money whether you want them to or not. That's why I said one of the best things that could have ever happened to us very, very early on was, we lean on our friends for different things and different people. Right. I reached out to an aunt of mine and I said, hey, I know I need an attorney. I don't know what kind of attorney. I need somebody who specializes in nonprofit, She referred me to someone. Then we brought on someone else. And then the same thing with our accountant. And our accountant, our original CPA actually referred us to a firm, a boutique firm. And so one of the ways that you can kind of offset the costs if you are a nonprofit, a lot of those people, as they're moving up, want a board seat. They want to sit on someone's board.
Wow.
Because that is power.
Listen, board seats or status.
So
it looks good on a resume on a LinkedIn. I'm telling you.
So let your accountant and your members of your legal team sit on your board.
And you know what? They can offer some great guidance to the whole business being on the board at the same time too. So it's a win-win situation all the way around.
Absolutely.
Wow. I want to touch bases back on something that Takiyah said when she was talking about one of the first things she would do would be get incorporated. A lot of people don't realize when you're out doing charity work or nonprofit work, there is an opportunity for you to, in your good doing, do something harmful or hurtful to someone else, and you can be sued for your good efforts. And being incorporated will allow you to protect your assets from that. And so, hats off to you to saying that. To a lot of people don't understand, being even in the nonprofit space, if you don't have that level of protection, you're really, really setting yourself out there for problematic. I got a story of when there was a food drive giving food to the homeless, and a couple of people got sick. from the food, or they claim they got sick from the food, and now they had a lawsuit on their hand, and all they was trying to do was feed
trying
the
to
home.
do something good. Yeah. So we have a similar way that we do things now because of COVID for a reason just like that. I used to travel kind of extensively, still shooting the project, but then was also a way for me to do outreach in different communities. When COVID hit, okay, first of all, there comes that point where you're like, well, do I go out? But then also I got to keep moving. So when you finally decide to go out, what protocols do you put in place to protect the organization from a dancer saying, I got sick from this shoot that I did with Brown Girls Do Ballet, or I got sick from this particular event that I did with Brown Girls Do Ballet. So we have a system in place. I basically get tested every other week. And then before I go out to do anything with a group, and even the people, my teammates that may be going with me, we all get tested, and then we get another rapid test when we get to that particular city or location, just so we can say on our end, it wasn't for me.
You know what's so sad though, that we are at this place in society where you have to think about these things. And I guess it makes you a better business person to come up with these structures in place. But you're out here trying to do good. And in the back of your mind, you got to think about, is somebody going to sue me? That's a very sad thing. That's a very sad place that we are in today's society.
It is. But I think that's another reason why I always stress when I think of our attorney, I think of him in terms of, one in particular, I think of him in terms of protecting our marks and protecting our organization. Then our other attorney, I think of her in terms of, if something happens, she's got to argue on behalf. So when we talked about that budget and keeping a line item for an accountant, it's just as important to keep them for an attorney, because as you move up, the more eyes are on you, the more people perceive that you have, the more that people perceive that you have, the more they might want some of it. And it doesn't matter how many times you say I'm a nonprofit. I drive the same car I drove forever. They don't know that. They just see, oh, Takiyah was on the Kelly Clarkson show, so she must have money now. I don't.
I think 6,000 followers. He's balling out of control.
He is still a very former school teacher. Brown Girls is doing well.
Biggie said it best: more money, more problems.
That's right.
And if you look at something recently that is happening with Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart, who has been in the news 3 or 4 times when it comes to scandals. One has been his own doing. The other has been people taking advantage of him. As you rise and be more successful in life, there are just going to be more people out there who are trying to take advantage of you. There was a story that popped up where Kevin Hart's stylist,
I saw that.
Basically scammed him out of $1.3 million by charging it on his credit card over the course of 2 or 3 years. And it's very sad that, you're out here, you're just trying to live your life, you're just trying to do good, and then you gotta watch out from the back, behind your head, who's going to be looking to take advantage of me by suing me, or any unintended consequence, which is what the show is all about, the unintended consequences of business.
Oh, man.
Unintended consequences. Suing is obviously, I feel like at some point it's going to happen. I don't know what the basis for the lawsuit will be, but I just feel like someone's going to itch to do that one day. But I will tell you a situation that occurred very early on. When I first started shooting the project, I had a lady reach out to me, and she was basically like, I love what you're doing. I want to tell your story. I'm not a writer. And so I brought her on to do some writing for us. And she would basically, after I would photograph the dancers, she would go out and interview them and get their written stories. It was a great idea.
Great idea.
One of the people, and this is before I knew it was going to be this thing, right? So one of the people that she interviewed, who is local to Dallas, decided to buy up all my domains, bought up all the domains associated with my organization. right? This is
They
what
squatted. They're squatters. The digital squatters is what they're called.
I had the name Brown Girls Do Ballet, and that was it. I couldn't do the browngirls.org, which is the nonprofit name and website and hub, because we've since moved beyond ballet. We also have Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, and we're going to launch a STEM leg later on this year.
They're like Brown Girls Do DFW.
Dude, we're
It up.
worldwide now.
But she got everywhere you could pivot and move to try to expand the brand.
.org, the .net, she bought all of it. And so when I was finally thinking of like the legacy of it and what it could be, I went to go purchase those domains, and they were gone. And I'm like, of all, who would buy these? So, you can do the little back end search and figure out who bought it. When I saw that name.
Wait, so it was the lady that was doing the writing for you?
No, it was one of the girls that she interviewed.
Oh, wow.
Who I also met in the world. We'd worked together on a job before. So
you just have to listen. You have to just wait them out, because eventually they'll lose interest, and they'll stop paying, because it's expensive to pay for all these domains on a yearly basis, and it becomes tedious after a while. Because I've had domains snatched from me because I didn't renew in time and I forgot about it, and then somebody snatched a domain that I had and wanted to charge me $10,000 to get back.
Yes.
But because nobody else wanted that domain over the time, that $10,000 price slipped down to $5,000, $3,000. It's at 99 cents now, so I can buy it back cheap from.
So I don't know if that's.
But it sucks though. It does suck.
At first she was shocked that I was able to find out it was her, because I just slid in her DM.
Oh, you confronted her.
Yes.
Oh, this is getting good. Please, yes, yes, Queen. What happened? Please tell us what happened.
Hey girl, how you doing? I saw you. We were friends on Facebook, so this was not like a blind kind of situation.
Hold on, let me get some tea here, because this is good. This is really good.
I said, hey, I saw that you purchased the domains affiliated with the organization.
Just say, hey, bitch.
Them, can you tell me how much it would cost for me to buy them back? I was off top gonna buy them back from her, because I knew what the thing was.
Okay, so you came professional. Yeah. Hey, maybe you didn't know, but I do this.
And then she said, how did you find out? And I thought, oh, that's not how the conversation should flow. And
it's all public information, who owns what, but okay.
Then she said, well, I understand that you're a nonprofit, so tell me what you can pay. So I went, you can have domains appraised. So I went to one of the appraisal sites, and I sent her back the number that it was appraised for. And she told me not enough.
Okay, so how much was it appraised for at the time?
It was appraised for maybe $50 at the time.
And what does she want?
She never told me that magic number, because I was blocked a couple hours later after she told me it wasn't enough.
This like, was she black? Was she black?
She was my sister. She was one of my sisters. But
people sometimes.
All you can do, I will tell this to anybody, all you can do is continue to lead with the same heart that you started with, because what that prompted me to do was immediately go the legal route and lock all of our stuff down. So even if you choose to use it, we're gonna hit you with the cease and desist, and then we're gonna take that on back from you.
So you have those marks. If somebody squats on the domains that you have, are you able to snatch them back legally?
I probably could, but I'm sure you know about attorneys. That refreshing that retainer is not fun. So I'm keeping that for a rainy day.
Yeah, I do Legal Shield. It's like $30 a month. I don't. That's so. Okay, so she's squatting. I mean, and listen, there's ways to get around it. You could always be like the Instagram route, the real Black Girls Do Ballet. I mean, there's ways to get around.
Everything works out. We're verified on almost every platform, so it's fine.
Can I talk about nonprofit versus not-for-profit 501c3s? Is there a difference in that, and which one are you?
People use it interchangeably. We're 501c3.
You're 501c3 means basically I send you some money, I can write that off on my taxes.
Absolutely.
And that's where you want to be when it comes to the nonprofit, because that's when people start throwing a lot of money off.
That's when people who are of a certain stature decide, I got to get rid of these funds so I don't have to pay these funds, and I'd rather give them to you than give them to Uncle Sam. So
Right.
Thank you, people.
Let's see here. Bernard Anthony says ballet is good for male athletes. Herschel Walker and Walter Payton did ballet for their balance.
That is absolutely correct. It is 100% correct.
Herschel Walker, who is a stout conservative, I see him on TV, and he has a very interesting son.
Yes, his son.
Very interesting. Listen, I'm not gonna say anything bad. His son is just very interesting, and just love on him. That's all I'm gonna say about his son.
He seems very intelligent. Let me say that. He seems very intelligent.
Very outspoken. His son is very outspoken. I do want to say that. I don't know what he's speaking on because it's okay.
Just let them be. Let them be on that.
Let them be. But he's very.
I got a question for you, Takiyah. So, being that you have a business, a for-profit business, which was your photography business, I'm assuming. I don't know if it's still up and running or not. And then you have
forever until I die. Yes.
That's that hustle. You know, when things get rough, you can go and snap some pictures.
Exactly. That's exactly how that goes.
So what biggest differences or challenges that you've seen between the two for a business, a for-profit, and then in the space of nonprofit?
Just being candid, the for-profit, I get to take that money. Does that make sense? Like it's my money. The nonprofit, I'm working for a cause, so it's and it's important for me to be transparent and say up until October of last year, I did all of this volunteer for Brown Girls. Brown Girls didn't give me a salary. I didn't pay myself a salary because I wanted all of those funds to go to the girls we were servicing and people who did special projects for us in our legal and our accounting. So those people were paid, but I did not take a salary. The only reason I'm able to take a salary now is because of the great folks at Facebook and Instagram who have made me a part of a program that provides one for me. But in that I would say the difference for me is just that when I'm shooting, I know I'm hustling for me and my family. For Brown Girls, I'm hustling for these girls that don't necessarily live in my household.
Listen, I do want to reiterate. Listen, if you start a nonprofit, don't feel that you're going to be it's just going to be this broke thing that you have to do on the side. It can turn into a thing that provides for you within reason a salary.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? As you grow the nonprofit, it's not meant for you to get rich off of.
No, you're not going to get rich, but you can be comfortable. You can be comfortable.
Be very comfortable as you're doing kind of your life's work or something that really brings you some type of joy. So as the nonprofit grows, you can basically sustain yourself and do the nonprofit if that's what you choose to do.
That is true. And my board pushed me to do that for probably 3 years, and I declined it because I was still working full time. So I didn't need it, if that makes sense.
You want to put the money back into the nonprofit so it grows. And it kind of feels weird taking from something you're really trying to give from, give to, and help other people with.
And in my head, it didn't make sense for me to be receiving a salary if we weren't able to push out twice as much as what that salary would be in funds to other girls.
Right, and that's another thing. If you take a salary, these are girls I'm not going to be able to help get a scholarship. But at some point, you have to. This is the difficult thing when it comes to business, especially with a nonprofit. You do have to look at it as, can I make the nonprofit more successful if I take a salary and devote more of my time to the nonprofit to help grow it? Because
that's what happened.
I'm going to go shoot Gabe in Los Angeles and get his headshot so he could be on NCIC. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Not to say that either is bad. I'm just saying.
You are 100% correct, and that's what happened last year. So the pandemic. I was teaching still and still doing photography, but the pandemic put us all in the house, right? So I was able to teach from home, and I don't work for that entity anymore, so I can just be honest and say, when I was working from home, I was working on Brown Girls. And the more time that I had to work on Brown Girls, the more it grew and grew and grew. And so then I knew if I was able to devote more time to it, it would make sense for me to run, but I was still used to operating in that spirit of scarcity and not quite ready to feel like I could take a salary and sustain things with Brown Girls solely. But it wasn't until about a month after that revelation, I applied for a grant through Facebook. I got the grant, and they're basically paying my salary to be able to run Brown Girls, which is what I was already doing.
And that's not a bad thing. And I just want to point out to everybody who thinks about starting a nonprofit, it's not a bad thing to take a salary so that you can devote your whole attention to making this thing grow. And shout out to Facebook and Instagram for doing that.
Yes, yeah. It makes all the difference. The fact that I can make my weekly schedule. I actually have time for meetings now. I used to take meetings on my lunch break or while the kids were in the back of the classroom, just all kinds of craziness. And how I operated like that for 8 years, I do not know. But I got it done. And now that I have this free time to build out the full gamut of what I want this to be, everything is happening so fast. Like, I really can't even communicate just the great stuff that has happened this week for Brown Girls, because I had the time to develop those relationships.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. So do you think the passion that you have for Brown Girls comes from more of the art of ballet, or does it come from the passion about exposing the art?
I'm all about exposure. I'm raised in Fort Worth, Texas. Where I grew up, I had my family, and my family did the very best that they could. But I promised myself, when I had children, if they told me they wanted to do a specific or particular thing, whether I knew anything about it or whether I felt like I could afford it, I would make it happen. And so with that same energy, I knew when I became a teacher, I wanted to do the same thing for my students. So it's just moving that same vibe to ballet. Do I feel like I want to change ballet? That's not really my mission. That's not my personal mission. My personal mission is to empower these young girls, give them these opportunities to be in spaces that they wouldn't typically be in, and just see what happens. This may end up being what you really should have been doing the whole time, but you needed that one person to take you there the first time, or you needed that one person to pay for that pair of shoes, or you needed that one person to introduce you to that dancer that's going to tell you, hey, why don't you train in New York this summer? In New York, you get there and your eyes are open, and all of a sudden, you're not just this little girl from Fort Worth. You've had all these varied experiences and met these new people, and you know that there's something outside of your block. So that is what keeps it moving.
Do you take money from everybody?
Do I say it again?
Do you take money from anybody?
No. No.
So I'm President Trump, and I saw you online.
Oh, well, time out.
I have all this free time. I want to donate to
you. I have a very real situation with that same administration, and I absolutely turned things down.
So were they going to donate to you?
They wanted a group of girls for a photo op and a performance, and I said no.
I get that.
So
I get that.
I had to do some digging to find out who they really were and who they were affiliated with. It wasn't
they were hiding behind people.
They were hiding behind. They had a whole website. They had a whole performing company. Like, I had people emailing me saying, you know who this particular person is? Because they reached out to me, and so we started digging. And I was thinking, all of this reaches back to a Republican website, and we're a nonprofit, so we're nonpartisan, but we stand all brown girls. Okay, so.
Wow, that's deep. That is deep. Wow,
that is crazy. That is
beyond. So that's another nugget. Watch out if you do start a nonprofit and you are soliciting donations. Be careful. Do as they are doing research on you to figure out what you're giving your money to.
It goes back. It goes back to the conversation we was having earlier, Don, about just protecting your brand.
Yes.
Once, like she said, she got those marks. Once you got those marks and you build this legacy that you want to continue to grow, you have to protect. You have to be very cautious about who touches it. Even back to what I was saying about just the t-shirts, with your logo on it, just giving it to just anybody, or making sure that the t-shirts that you do give to anybody has a specific.
Well, you had a story about somebody had a story about getting into a car accident in a team t-shirt.
Yeah, that was me in college, where I got into a car accident with a band T-shirt on, and the band director was he. I don't think at the time he was really upset that I had this shirt on and I was on the news. I think he was just trying to explain to me or get it in my mind that you have to be cautious about what you wear at all times and what you're doing.
So
And
you got that lesson at what age?
ooh,
Because we teach our girls that starting at 12.
21.
I don't think you would ever. Yeah, you.
Yeah, I was 22, 21, 22 years old.
Nobody's thinking. You're not even thinking about that. The news asked you about a story, and you were just explaining the story.
Yeah, they was just asking me questions about how I just got into this accident on my way to school. I was on my way to the campus, and it was just so happens, I was in this accident, and the camera crew was there. I mean, I couldn't leave until the police let me leave, so I had no control of the situation. But you just never know what that spin could have been, and I think that was the lesson he was trying to teach me. And as you said, at age 21, it really didn't make sense to me. Even then, it didn't make sense to me until here I am, almost 20 years later, and now I can see what he was trying to teach me in that. And you say you're teaching these girls these jewels and these things at 12 years old, and me and a couple of friends of mine started a nonprofit some years ago called Village Inspiration Project, and it's all about exposing people and teaching them these type of things that you may not never experience. And what you said, just being introduced to something at an earlier age that potentially could change the way you view your future.
Yeah, you just have to think about it. Our kids are growing up in a different space. We had, I think, I'm aging myself, right? The internet came along while I was in high school, and I think everybody had to have it in college. But
did you have a Bravo Express or a Bravo Plus? Which one did you have?
I don't remember what I had, but I know, like, we're talking about the dial-up internet, the disc you get free in the mail, that whole thing.
AOL disc.
My first email address was probably an AOL address, that sort of thing. So, and then MySpace came along when I was an adult, and then you navigate what's too much to share versus what's enough and how much you want people to know you out in that space. With these young people, they're like, young and just in the thick of it. They all these new.
They don't know the world outside of it. They don't understand the world. They don't understand what privacy is.
They don't, and so we have to tell them internally. We publish a guide every year that teaches them how they are to use social media while they're with us. Now, what you do after that?
Do they understand?
Every single one understands, and moms and dads always say thank you, because it's one of those things where my mom and dad can tell me not to post this or not to say this or not to do this, but if Miss Takiyah says it, or Miss Amber, because I see her in the comments, that's our board chair, if Miss Amber tells us not to do this, then I'm going to listen to them.
What's going on, Amber?
Got you. Gabe, before we get out of here, can we talk about the Village Inspiration Project? What is that you just mentioned not too long ago?
I mean, it's a nonprofit that me and a couple of my friends started back when we first got out of high school. Started out with just music, where we was basically coming together, having what would be considered a jam session. We were bringing younger musicians, and we would have these jam sessions with them, and we would use that as a moment or a platform to break the ice, if you will, to talk about other life lessons. How playing in a group of musicians, coming together as a team, how you have to work together to reach a common goal, or the intricacies of how music has science and math in it. It was really just an icebreaker. And then it kind of went away, and then I brought it back once I came back to Dallas. And the whole ideal is really to expose the people are kids, and I even include their parents. As Takiyah was saying, her parents say thank you for doing this for their kids, but it's also doing it for them. A lot of these parents, they don't know how to effectively act and socialize on social media. Case in point, Facebook came out when we was in college, and you had to have a college account. So most likely you had some sense about you when you got your Facebook account.
Look lightweight, but yeah, more so than but yeah.
You had some structure, but and now it's a free fall in a sense. So the Village Inspiration Project is really designed to expose a young mind to a different aspect of life that they otherwise may not have seen outside of their neighborhood, to inspire them to do greater things beyond their neighborhood or their natural environment.
I love that. I love that because you never know what experience is going to be the one that changes a child. You never know. Oftentimes it's one negative experience, but it could be that positive thing that you did that day.
Gabe's an amazing artist. He plays the trumpet, the drums, the radio. He plays it all good.
Yeah. No, for me, it was a really interesting moment. I was playing Little League football, and we won a championship game to attend in California. And Southwest Airlines sponsors. I believe Michael Irvin was a sponsor at the time.
Wow.
And we flew to California in this Pee Wee football team. So all of us are maybe between the ages of 10 and 12. It's about 50 or 60 of us. We're on this plane flying over the Rocky Mountains. And the pilot took the time to give us a geography test as he's flying over the mountains. And for me, I was blown away because here's these ice-capped mountains that I've only seen in books.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the wonder of it all made me, at that point in time, if it was to be seen, I had to see it for myself. You couldn't show me a picture of it. You couldn't show me a drawing of it. You couldn't tell me about it. I had to see it for myself. And that is one of the biggest things on why I try to travel at least once a year. You know, once this pandemic kind of gets back into it, I try to just expose myself to to anything that would inspire me to want to see and do more. And I feel like that moment was the key moment that pushed me into that mindset. And how many other kids in our neighborhoods can be exposed to that when they know that there's a life beyond the corner store?
And that's what it is. So, Dawn, when you ask about like ballet, do that many girls want to be ballerinas? No, but a lot of them want to go to New York for the first time. A lot of them want to dress up in a nice dress and go to a nice gala one time. A lot of them want to meet that person that they've seen on television, like Misty Copeland one time. It starts there, but planting.
I mean, hell, maybe they want to do ballet. They just don't even know. You know, I mean, like I get what you're saying. Behold, it's an experience. Ballet is the destination,
mm-hmm.
but New York, the culture, the industry, there's a massive amount of different experiences that you're going to get. You may not even come around like liking ballet, but maybe something off of this trip or this experience may trigger your mind into something else.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful. That's very beautiful.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, listen, I just want to say thank you for joining us, Takiyah.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
This has been one of the best conversations we've had. It's been so interesting to learn about you and what you do. If somebody wants to donate to your organization, how do they get in contact with you? Where do they go? Do they got to go to a bank, or is there a certain? No,
there's a variety. We are literally at this point on every donation website there is. Obviously, you can go to our website, browngirlsdoballet.com. There's multiple places for you to donate. You can even choose where your funds go, whether it go to our supply closet, scholarships, general operations, or some other side projects that we have, like Variation in Hue, which provides costumes for girls, which is a big deal in ballet. So that you can choose where you want your funds to go. You can also donate through Facebook and Instagram. Our name there is the same, Brown Girls Do Ballet. The only place that it is different is Twitter, and that's Brown Girl Ballet, only because the whole name wouldn't fit there. So
that's very beautiful that you allow people to choose where their donations go. I think that's a very beautiful thing. At the same time, too, when it comes to people giving, they can make a choice instead of saying, I'm just giving to an organization. I can say, I want to support this person over here.
We have families that have decided, because we helped their daughter in this particular area, that's where they want their funds to go once that girl has moved on. So that was important to us, for them to be able to choose where their funds go.
I asked Gabe this question earlier. I'm going to ask you, how cold is it in the DF Dub where you're at? He said it was 29 degrees.
Hold on. I'm going to look right now, but I'm not that far.
I got 29 degrees where he was at. Now, I just want to know, can you beat him on that?
Hold on. Let me look. Because I'm a little bit further south than he is. Hold on. Let me look and see what this is.
Are you where exactly are you at?
I got you, Gabe. I got you. Hold on.
I was at 26.
25.
Oh, she beat you by a degree. Wow.
5.
Now, where are you
So, in relation to I'm in a little suburb called Duncanville, Texas, which is really Dallas.
Duncanville, I know Duncanville.
That's where I am, and Gabe is probably about 20 minutes from me.
Yeah, I got caught up in the speed traps in the night in the county jail. Very nice.
Oh yeah, they love you in Duncanville, Texas, for that. Especially for a black man's
Duncanville and Claiborne County. If you ever been to Claiborne County, I got caught up in their speed traps too.
Yeah.
to have a Cadillac DeVille
Like,
1997.
Wait, did you get caught in the Cadillac in Duncanville? Because we have a
Well,
theory about it.
I had a slab. I just want to say that it was a 96 slab, the DeVille. And I was going to go see some friends who lived in Claiborne County. Now, I was working in Dallas, Fort Worth at the time at a radio station called 106 KDL, which is now, it was Casa 1067. It's something else. That's probably Mexican radio now.
Okay.
So I was going to go stay at my friend who I worked with. He was like, sure, come on over to Claiborne. Come on. So I stopped at the Jack in the Box.
Just like that?
To eat. Huh?
Did he say it just like that?
Yeah, come on. Right? And so the speed limit, which is I really wasn't paying attention to, went from 65 to 55 to 45 to 55 to 65 to 55 to 45. And I got caught up in that.
Yeah. Duncanville, I think that, it's a small little area, and I feel like they try to make all of the city's funds in speed traps. So, we have a theory about Cadillacs in Duncanville because my husband drives one, and he never fails. Has lived in Duncanville almost his entire life, but always gets caught by Duncanville PD.
Well, listen, when you have what we call a slab in the state of Texas, and it's of the 96 Cadillac DeVille DTS type of thing, get expected to get pulled over by a state trooper. And you'll be in a town where Main Street is one street and the courthouse looks like it was built in 1855. That's where I was.
I also think that Dunn is missing the fact that it was a two-tone Cadillac sitting on 22-inch rims.
Okay, hold on. I got to correct you. I didn't get that Cadillac till I came to California. I had a 96 Champagne DeVille, big body.
Just stop.
You know what I'm saying? I was listening to talk radio. I'm sorry. I was listening to Christian radio on my way to my friend's house, and I got pulled over.
Of course you were.
I don't know if I believe that last part, but it was. Were the windows rattling? Is that really why you got pulled over?
I may have been listening to the Oak Cliff Assassins or Quint Black or.
Okay, all right. That now the story is making more sense.
Right. The dots are starting to kind of like connect. Yeah.
Hey, Tony.
I think Dunn froze on us over here.
All right, listen, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us, Takiyah. BrownGirlsDoBallet.org is where we're going.
.com. Remember, she stole my .org. I think she still has it. So .com. Brown Girls Inc. BrownGirlsDoInc.org will take you to
Brown Girls. That's what I had up on the screen. BrownGirlsDoInc.org or BrownGirlsDo.com. Take you to the website if you want to donate. If you want to help out, are you accepting volunteers to help out at all?
Well, when the pandemic slows down just a little bit in Dallas, we will be looking for in-person volunteers. But right now, everything is virtual.
Gotcha.
So, and also, if you're like me, you buy everything on Amazon because I just don't want to go to Walmart anymore. Then you can also go to Smile on Amazon and you can add them as your charity to support. Hey, listen. I thought about that all by myself.
Yes, you can Amazon Smile. Let me think. Since you thought about that, let me think of where else you can shop that benefits us. So many places right now. If there are any little people on here, we just entered into an amazing partnership with Janie and Jack. It's a Gap Inc. company. We have our own collection out with them right now. We have another huge collection coming out later this year with another brand that I'm not talking about yet, but buy some t-shirts or some goodies or something like that.
They can go to the website and get and go straight. They can go straight to the website and buy merch from you.
Yes, they can go straight to the website and buy merch if they're not ready to donate. And all of our merch is super cute. We've got stuff for adults and kids, all the way down to babies. But if you have a baby right now, I would say anywhere from newborn to age 12, JanieandJack.com has a lot of our stuff as well.
Well, Takiyah, I am I'm so thrilled that a beautiful Black woman like yourself is taking care of our Black children and creating a space for them to grow. I feel a little butthurt that now boys are not allowed, but we'll work on it later.
We still help the boys. If you have a son that needs support, please just email me. We can work that out as well.
But I appreciate that you are devoting your time, your energy, your sweat equity into helping girls experience a different life outside of the block, the neighborhood, in a different atmosphere amongst a different social society and a different culture that they may not be exposed to. So I appreciate you and thank you so much. And you're always welcome here. And listen, go to Brown Girls Do Ballet and donate, buy a t-shirt. I'll make sure that I buy a t-shirt and some merch. You make my size, right?
For the guys, so we've got all sizes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll go buy some merch.
Pink muffins on the shoulders.
Oh, he needs a muscle shirt.
No, I want the shoes. I want the shoes. Can I get the shoes? I want to.
You want a pair of point shoes?
Yeah. I just want them. I'll use them as driving shoes or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, you can sign up for our point shoe program to receive those shoes free of charge. I don't know if they make them in your size, but I'm sure we can figure something out. So
look, I'll make them fit. Okay. All right. Don't be hating on my. I want the shoes. Okay. Damn it. All right. Thank you so much, Takiyah. Brown Girls Do Ballet. And anytime you have some new updates or whatever you're doing, please come back to the show. We're always here.
I will. Thank you, guys. You all have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, sweetheart.
Nice.
That was an amazing conversation. Wow. Where do you find these people, Gabe? Just saying, like, how did you come across her?
Listen, man, I'm just blessed to be able to come across some amazing people doing an amazing thing. And the beautiful thing is all of these people, they inspire me. And so, I don't want to be selfish and keep these great stories to myself. And I definitely don't want you to hear about them from me. I want you to hear from them so their story can inspire everyone else just as much as it inspires me.
I mean, just for her to devote her life to exposing young girls to a different culture, different lifestyle, different city, different type of anything that they may not necessarily be exposed to growing up in Dallas or wherever they're from. But it's an amazing thing.
But here's the thing: it's not just exposing them to. You have this little girl that wants to do dance, but they don't have the resources or they don't have the information to pursue that. Their parents don't have the information to pursue that, and something as simple as reaching out to Brown Girls Do gets you a handbook or a pamphlet that shows you your next steps in order to receive or to go about that. And if it's truly meant for you, or if it's truly a passion for you, then you can go to the next level and you can apply for a scholarship program, apply for a mentorship program, and then they take you under their tutelage and push you further in something that you're already trying to do, and expose you to ballet or dance to the fullest extent when you otherwise couldn't yourself, and you never know what that brings out of your child. Or you as a parent, you seeing your child happy, you seeing your child explore this part of their life that they wanted so badly that you unfortunately couldn't have provided to that level. What does that do for you as a parent?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's a life scenario all the way around. I love it.
One of the greatest things that she said was when we were talking about how your band teacher kind of got at you about wearing the band shirt when you got involved in the car accident, and how she's teaching the young girls at a very young age to be cognizant of what you're representing, where you are, and what you're involved in, and be just aware of your surroundings. Is something that that's not something that you could necessarily learn in school. That's a life skill that she's teaching these young girls, and I think that's an amazing thing. I wish.
And it's amazing to the fact that it's a life lesson that most people don't learn until they're further along in life. Yeah. Imagine how many situations or mistakes are that you put yourself in just because you weren't aware of that aspect. So it's great stuff, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sounds like she has a good amount of parents that are helping her out. So I just I love hearing stories from businesses like this, and that's why this show was created. We're highlighting different aspects of what goes on behind business, the bullshit that you have to deal with when it comes to business, and also the success and the unintended consequences that happen when you are trying to devote yourself to business, or in this case, a nonprofit, just like a business. Yeah, a lot of great gems as far as, and once again, this is a recurring theme for those of you who are watching who do have a business. Spend the money on an accountant, and what we learn here, spend the money on lawyers, because I think the bigger picture that you have to learn, depending on how much money you're making, is that it's gonna pay for itself long term. You may be saving a few $100 every single month, but long term, when somebody's squatting on your name on internet domains or trying to jack your trademark or whatever, you have insurance. I think that's what you have to look at it as. My accountant and my lawyer are insurance for my business, and you really can't put a price on insurance because you never know when you're going to need it. You know?
Absolutely.
All right. Before we get out of here, you're in Dallas.
Yeah.
We talked to Carl Brown earlier today. I can't leave here without promoting the shop in Dallas. If you want to get a line of service, if you want to get, I don't know, a phone case.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You got a bunch of FUBU merch on the wall. Can I buy the wall stuff?
You can, just not for me.
Oh.
I don't know where you're going to find it, but yeah, I'm sure you can find it.
So I can't make you an offer. I want to buy that FUBU shirt you got on the wall.
You can make me an offer, but it's going to cost you.
Okay. Where's the FUBU Mobile store at, and when are you open so people can come down and see you in Dallas?
And we are 2 miles. We are 2 miles south of the Dallas Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas, 2500 East Pioneer Parkway, and we're open Monday through Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can come in, or you can go online, FUBUMobileDeals.com, and we'll take care of you.
You like Chick-fil-A? You close on Sundays?
Man, listen. The pandemic makes you make hard decisions, and unfortunately, I cannot be there 7 days a week. I need a day off. I need a day to.
You do have a family. You do have a day to rest. All right. So you've been sipping on the Texas Crown for the show.
Yeah, man.
Before we get out of here, how is it?
It's good. It's good. I have no complaints on it. I would buy another bottle of that. I would.
All right. We don't know who gave you that. It just magically appeared at Christmas. The alcohol gods are upon you. I do want to say that. WhiskeyKindOfDay.com is where you need to go. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow Gabe, myself on Instagram, and then we'll come back with another show. Do we have any idea on the future guests that are coming up?
Man, we got some great shows coming up. I think the next guest we're going to probably talk about sports. Let's talk about getting into the
Tom Brady. You got Tom Brady on the show,
and man, listen, you gotta sign in to just find out.
Wow.
We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about what it takes to get into the professional realm of sports, making that transition, and what that looks like for just anybody aspiring to be a professional athlete. We're gonna talk about it.
Deion Sanders and Emmitt Smith live down in your area.
Yeah, well, Deion Sanders spent a lot more time down in Jackson, Mississippi. So
Jerry Jones is down there. I know Jerry Jones is down there.
It's a lot of people down here. I don't know all of them.
Okay, well, get on that. Okay, all right. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you guys for hanging out with us so much. WhiskeyKindOfDay.com. Gabe, have a great weekend. I'm gonna try that Texas Crown. Okay.
And do that. And again, please go subscribe, and so you can keep up on the shows. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the future.
All right, you guys have a great weekend.